Welcome back to Motivotalks. In today's episode, we're exploring a powerful concept from James Clear's book, Atomic Habits. Motivation is overrated, environment often matters more. Now, if you've ever tried to build a new habit, you probably know how it feels to get excited, motivated, and determined to stick to a goal. But then, after a few days or weeks, motivation fades, and you find yourself slipping back into your old ways. Sound familiar? That's because motivation, while helpful, is often unreliable and fleeting. James Clear's approach, however, offers a much more sustainable solution, focusing on designing your environment to shape your behavior, rather than relying on fleeting bursts of motivation. So, today, let's dive deep into why your environment plays a far bigger role in your success than sheer willpower, and how you can start designing your surroundings to make good habits easier and bad habits harder. Let's start by recognizing that we often rely on motivation to drive us. When we feel motivated, we take action. When we don't, we don't. But here's the problem: motivation is unpredictable. One day, you're pumped up and ready to tackle everything, and the next day, you're barely able to get out of bed. If you're only relying on motivation to make things happen, you're setting yourself up for inconsistency. But what if there was a way to automate your behavior, so you didn't need to rely on willpower or motivation? That's where your environment comes in. Your environment is everything around you: the people, places, and things that shape your daily experiences. The signals and cues in your environment influence your actions far more than you might realize. Let's break it down. Think about your daily life. How many times do you act based on cues in your environment? For example, when you walk into a room and see a stack of books on your desk, you're more likely to pick one up and start reading. Or, when you see a plate of cookies sitting on the counter, you might find yourself reaching for one, even if you weren't planning on it. These are just small examples, but they illustrate a powerful truth: your environment has a way of guiding your actions, often without you even realizing it. James Clear refers to this as the idea of environment design. The goal is to make the good habits you want to adopt easier and more automatic, and to make the bad habits you want to break harder. This doesn't mean trying to rely on endless amounts of self-discipline. It means designing your environment in a way that supports your goals. When you make good habits easy and bad habits hard, you significantly reduce the friction between you and your desired behaviors. Now, think about the simple example of the kitchen. If you want to eat healthier, it's easier to do that if you keep healthy foods like fruits and vegetables visible on the counter, and store unhealthy snacks in cabinets that are harder to access. When you open the fridge or pantry, the first thing you see is what you're most likely going to grab. If the good foods are in plain sight, it's much easier to make healthy choices without having to think twice about it. But it's not just about what's visible. It's also about what's easy to access. For example, if you're trying to read more, you could place a book on your nightstand so that it's the first thing you see when you wake up in the morning. If your gym clothes are laid out by the door, you're much more likely to go for a workout. These small tweaks to your environment set you up for success without needing to rely on constant motivation. Let's take it a step further. Another powerful aspect of environment design is removing friction for good habits and increasing friction for bad ones. It's not just about placing things in front of you that will encourage positive behavior. It's also about removing the things that lead you down a path of least resistance. If you're trying to reduce your screen time, for instance, you could remove apps from your phone's home screen, or even uninstall them entirely. The extra steps required to reinstall them might be enough to make you think twice. Alternatively, if you want to read more, you could remove distractions, put your phone in another room, or turn off notifications while you read. But what about those times when you don't have the willpower to do the right thing? Well, That's where habit stacking comes into play. This is another strategy James Clear talks about in his book. Habit stacking is when you take a habit you already do regularly and stack a new habit on top of it. For example, after you brush your teeth, you might stack the habit of reading for 10 minutes. By anchoring your new habit to something that's already ingrained in your routine, it becomes easier to stick with it. Now, let's consider the power of social environment. The people you spend time with can have a huge impact on your behavior. Have you ever noticed that when you're around people who are active and health conscious, you're more likely to eat better and work out? Conversely, if your friends are eating junk food and lounging around, you're more likely to do the same. It's no accident. This is called social proof, and it's a powerful influence on human behavior. James Clear highlights the importance of surrounding yourself with people who support your desired habits. If you want to exercise more, it might help to find a workout buddy or join a group that holds you accountable. If you want to read more, join a book club or surround yourself with friends who value reading. The people around you will either push you toward your goals or pull you away from them. Choose wisely. But it's not just about friends and family. It's also about the communities and groups you engage with. The more you immerse yourself in environments where the behavior you want to adopt is the norm, the easier it becomes to align with those habits. So, whether it's joining a gym, participating in a professional community, or surrounding yourself with people who share your values, social environments play a massive role in shaping your habits. One key takeaway here is that environment design is a tool that can help you build sustainable habits, even without having to rely on endless amounts of motivation or self-discipline. When you design your environment thoughtfully, you make it easier to be consistent and avoid falling into old, unproductive patterns. And remember, the process doesn't stop. Your environment should evolve as your habits do. As you grow, the spaces around you need to support that growth. If you want to continue building new habits, it's essential to keep evaluating your surroundings and making small adjustments as needed. This ongoing process ensures that your environment continues to nurture the habits that align with your long-term goals. To summarize, motivation is often unreliable and temporary, but environment is a far more powerful force. When you shape your surroundings to make good habits easy and bad habits hard, you're setting yourself up for long-term success. The best part is, you don't need to rely on willpower or motivation. Instead, you can design an environment that makes success inevitable. So, what's one thing you can change in your environment today to help you build a better habit? Maybe it's putting your gym shoes by the door, or maybe it's removing distractions from your workspace. Whatever it is, remember that small changes in your environment can lead to massive changes in your life. Thanks for joining me in today's episode of Atomic Habits Explained. If you found this episode helpful, make sure to subscribe for more insights from Atomic Habits and practical tips on how to transform your habits and your life. See you in the next episode.